Good evening. We will call the Niagara Falls Water Board March 25th business meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Need to change the word. Because it's not March.
Oh, it's not,
It's
I'm
April.
reading March.
It's April 20. April 23rd.
Mr. Chairman, I apologize. That was corrected on the copy that's on the screen.
Yeah, I'm sorry, April 22nd. I'm reading, my copy says March the 25th. Please, if you have a cell phone, put it on silence. Call the roll, please.
Board Member Askelaar?
Here.
Chairman Forster?
Here.
Board Member Kimball?
Here.
Board Member Larkin?
Here.
Board Member Leffler?
Here.
Any public comments or speakers, Mr. Costello?
None, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. No comments from me. We have any presentations,
None scheduled this evening.
letters of communication?
Just two documents in the packet. There is a CISA fact sheet on People's Republic of China state-sponsored cyber activity actions for critical infrastructure leaders. That's a short document that just describes some of the cybersecurity threats faced by water and wastewater systems and describes some of the actions that the Water Board is taking. We consult with CISA. We have CISA helping monitor our systems in addition to some other third-party vendors. The other document that's in the packet or other letter and communication is the monthly COVID wastewater surveillance update memorandum.
Thank you, Mr. Costello. Has the board had a chance to review the March 25th board meeting minutes? And if so, if there are no changes, Chair will accept the motions to move it, accept the minutes as written.
Move it.
Moved by Board Member Kimball,
I'll second.
seconded by Board Member Larkin. On the question, none being heard, call the roll, please.
Board Member Askelaar? Board Member Kimball?
Yes.
Board Member Larkin?
Yes to approve.
Board Member Leffler?
Yes.
Chairman Forster?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Will the acting ED, Mr. Eagler? What do you have?
Hi, good afternoon. Just before the meeting, I was in contact with Molly, who's doing the work on our high lift pump two. They have a machinist working on the shaft now to mill it to the proper dimensions that they're going to need for the aluminum alloy bearings, which is the bearings we have to go with now because of the NSF 61 rule or recommendation. Right now, we're hoping to have those bearings by the end of the week and installed. At this point, there is no timeline for the bearings to be here or to be at Molly. We currently have an active main break at First and Rainbow, again in the bricks. So that'll be a tedious job to get the bricks back in. Right now, it's either a 6 or a 12 down in that area. The mains are very clustered. But we have a crew out there now and we'll stay on site until it's repaired. Last month, they did another 13 hydrants for the month, which brings us to 44. Which is almost halfway there, and we're only a quarter way through the year. So that's very good. In the AED report, we talked about the Touch-A Truck. We put the new VACCON out there, and it was very well received. A lot of children showed up to that. It was very nice. There's some things that I hope the administrators here touch on. The tour tomorrow with 38, approximately 32, high school students will be coming to our wastewater treatment plant. The cameras at the gorge, when IT comes up here, I encourage them to express to the board how these cameras are not only just cameras, but also a security system with alarms as well as audio. That's all I have at this time.
Any board member have any questions for the acting executive director? Mr. Eagler, you also covered Mr. Bradbury?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we can scratch 4. Thank you. I don't have any questions. From CPL. Mr. Myers, when you talk to the board about what happened on Wednesday, or I'm sorry, on Saturday regarding the inspection of the Beach Avenue water tower?
Okay, we solicited proposals
a month and a half ago for inspection of the tank, just to see what the condition is and see if it can be repurposed and put back into service. So they were supposed to come here that Tuesday after the eclipse, but they canceled because of couldn't get a hotel. So they ended up coming this Saturday, which saved us $2,000 because Erie County paid for their travel time and we took that off their bill. So there was 3 guys here for about 4.5 hours. And they were inside the tank. They took a lot of pictures. They're going to send us a report. But the tank is definitely salvageable and reusable. We can put a pump station in there. The inside needs to be painted. The outside needs to be recoated. But the lead issue isn't as bad as we had anticipated. So that's going to cut down a lot on the fabrication and the rehabilitation of it. New hatches need to be put in it. New roof vent, new overflow pipes. And the pump station, but you know, the tank generates what, $100,000 revenue for you guys, so you're not gonna have any interruptions with your cell contractors or anything to rehab this. And if this gets moved ahead, once we get the report, I anticipate you could have this tank back in service by next fall.
So what are we looking, so we could have redundancy in our system, right?
Yes, actually have more because you only have 1.5 here, and now you'll have an extra 2 million.
And that's 1.9 or 2 million?
2 million.
Mhm. Good stuff. That's really good news. How long has it been out of service?
Since what, around 97?
Yeah, forever.
Well, when this one
Long as
went
I've
in
been
service, it was no good anymore because it wouldn't work in the system.
Why did they take it out of this?
Well, because
The height?
56th Street is 200 feet, this one's 155, so it would just overflow the tank. And even if you filled it, you had more pressure from the pump or the new plant and 56th than you would have from pressure from that tank. That's why the pump station we put there, so you can increase the pressure to equalize and get better
So-
volume and fire service in that end of the city.
Based on a report that I read, they say they were about 100-year life expectancy, right? This is 70, how many, 70?
1947, but he was telling me, he said they've got tanks that are 120, 130 years
Even
old.
if we got 30 years out of it.
Yeah.
It would be pretty good. Good.
Yeah, and it gives you water within a year.
Right,
So instead of trying to build a brand new one and everything else.
right. Any board member have any questions for CPO? Thank you. We'll go over to operations, executive, Mr. Conti, please.
As Mr. Eagler mentioned, we have everything ready for the students tomorrow. We're looking forward to seeing Niagara Wheatfield and Niagara Falls High School students and Buffalo Niagara Waterkeeper. And quite a bit of our work in most recent weeks has been tackling the Blue City work order system. And we are diligently putting assets in there on a continual basis to include anything, any new equipment that we're putting in automatically generates a new asset. So this was part of what wasn't happening, so we are correcting that. That's all I have.
Any board member have any questions for Mr. Conti? None being heard. Mr. Williamson, please.
Thank you, David. Good evening. As you are aware, we had a meeting with the town of Niagara on Friday regarding their agreement and recent billing. Basically, their billing has doubled in the past 2 years due to an increase in the average flow measured. And they want us to look into possibly moving the fall flow metering to like a drier month, like the end of summer. And they would also like us to consider some type of relief on their current bill. So that may be a possible, depending on how things are negotiated, a resolution, I'm assuming. So that might be forthcoming. Other than that, we have to decide on some water main projects for the next grant application, which is due June 14th. And we should have a resolution for the grant application and seeker at the next board meeting in May.
I have a question.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
For the town of Niagara, it's just the sewers,
Yeah.
right?
Sewer flows.
Do we take into account the volume of new homes that have been built out in that area, or do they take that into account? I mean, does that matter at all?
We monitor, 6 different locations, so I'm assuming that the flow, it would, depends on where these new,
Do they,
houses are.
do
where-
they designate the areas or do we strategically pick them?
We did a study years ago, back in
Okay.
2014, we determined, the highest areas where we're getting flow from.
Because they've had a lot of building out there, over the
We don't
years.
get all the flow from the town of Niagara. We only have a portion.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So when it rains, we take in a lot of rainwater from them. And that's why we have a lot of overflows down at the
Yeah.
gorge, because we're really taking in high volume that we can't handle.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a burden on our equipment.
Oh, yeah.
One thing, Doug, has that been analyzed to see in terms of increased runoff due to, you get a higher, there's like a higher occurrence with the intensity of.
Oh, how it
rainwater
affects
when you
us?
have- When you have roads,
Mhm.
hard pipe with gutters. So I'm just wondering, depending on what the terrain model is, that needs to be updated.
Yeah, I'm not aware if
Possibly.
we have a model. I haven't seen one.
But like the flow that's generated from an empty field
Right,
versus a street with driveways and roofs. It's gonna be a very big change.
right. Yeah, I think there's definitely one area, and we're not billing them, that we're taking a lot of flow from, a landfill.
Cause then we're dealing with the overflows, that's more of a burden on us with, crew response, possibly overtime, pumps. You need to keep the inventory of pumps and keeping them in service, so. I don't know if you could maybe see if there's any,
Yeah,
we could look up some information
yeah, I
on
can look
that,
into what their flows are and what their.
just to kind of see maybe what some changes were with the area,
Mhm.
where we,
Sure.
and maybe we could recommend, before we consider, giving them a,
It's
a
pretty,
bill
it's a pretty
adjustment.
big bill.
yeah, but I mean, we need to look at what, see if we can determine, are we capturing our costs in terms of
Yeah.
the impact to us in terms of personnel costs as well as equipment
Mhm.
during those high flow.
Yeah, I'll look into.
Yeah, I mean, if you
that
find some
next meeting.
information, just to kind of see, if the, to Gretchen's point, changes, in the landscape, definitely have an impact on flow rates or, inflow during like a similar storm event before and after.
Mhm.
Just so we have something to base any decision or thoughts on how we could adjust.
Yeah.
If it's
have it.
appropriate to look at a bill reduction.
Sure, yeah, I'll have some type of analysis.
Okay.
For the next meeting.
And, if it's too hard to figure out, at least, let us know maybe what some of the complications are, and maybe we need to look into something to just give it a more accurate look rather than, yeah, we'll cut your bill back,
Right. Yep.
We just do the reading once a year,
Twice.
Two times a year.
Twice.
Yeah.
so we're not
They're
on a
kind of
dry
complaining
month.
that we're doing it in too wet of a time frame. The fall is kind of wet.
Well, in spring has
Yeah.
been pretty
But
wet.
we also talked about doing, monitoring continuously,
Yeah,
which might be a little costly to do.
Well, what if we did it, different periods, multiple readings to get a better,
We
Idea.
talked about that too.
because if we did it in the dead of winter and there's no precipitation, then. it'd
Right.
be-
Maybe do 4 periods of 2 weeks instead of two 4-week periods,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
So
then they really.
maybe balance throughout,
Right. Yeah, that would probably be a smart thing to do, actually.
maybe when you're doing your analysis, how time intensive is it to do the readings? I mean, is it manpower? If you could figure all that in, so is,
Right, well, we sub that out.
oh, you do?
Yes,
Okay.
and then we split the cost with the town. Ag.
Okay, okay.
So one of the things that came out of, one of the issues that came out of the meeting that, between the town and the staff is that we may increase the flow semi-annual to quarter. And so how it was left was that Mr. Costello, Mr. Risman, who is the attorney for the town, we're gonna have a discussion on a number of items and then come back. So it was a preliminary discussion on some issues that they
So you
had.
talked about the same thing we're talking
Did,
about.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Did
So,
they have? Did the town have any representation, like a technical person like yourself or engineering?
Well, no, there weren't any, I think their engineer, they used GHD, there was just their sewer maintenance.
Okay, so they did have somebody with some expertise. So it wasn't just the lawyer talking.
No, just one field guy. Sometimes field guys know the most, right?
Yeah, well, you can't discount the lawyers either.
Yeah, well, sometimes.
As long as we have the better lawyer, that's good.
All right.
And I'm sure we do.
any board member, any questions for engineering?
Mhm. No.
Thank you.
All right,
Thanks, sir.
We'll go to personnel, Mr. San Lorenzo, please.
Good evening.
Hello.
Hello.
Today there's no new, promotions of business. There is, a resignation from Mike Janice, who is a senior lab technician in the lab. The timing wasn't great, but, we had just posted that position both internally and externally. So we put it on hold because we combined the labs. By doing that, that job was put on hold. Now we reopened and we have some candidates. We're going to get interviewing this week to fill that soon. The lab director and lead services coordinator positions were both approved by civil service and given their civil service number and grade. So the lab director now, the combination will happen and we'll look at hiring a senior lab technician. And then on the workers' comp side, we still have the one individual that I believe goes mid-May for his next evaluation.
Yeah.
And that's it for that. One other thing is the health insurance premiums. Wednesday, I'm meeting with the broker and Blue Cross about our rates coming up. I don't expect a great rate because of our experience rating. So we're working on that along with the Medicare supplements. Now,
Is that going out to RFP?
the RFP, Sean and I sent up a draft. We Sean and I were gonna get it. Get that out.
I have not reviewed the draft.
But we're gonna
We will.
RFP it
We're an
Yeah.
RFP for the, yeah.
For the broker,
For the
yes.
broker, yes.
for the broker.
Yeah,
Yes.
the rates are the, yeah, the rates.
How
are
long have we
great.
had the current broker?
I don't know, as long as I was here.
Yeah.
Many
it's been, it's been a
You know,
while.
Crown. how long is
Do
it?
you remember the last time we had an RFP?
I think it might have been in the 14 or 16,
Yeah.
Oh, that's a long time.
Yeah.
somewhere in that timeframe.
Mhm.
Okay. Got it.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Just not for nothing and not for the union people, but do we do exit interviews when employees leave?
Yes,
Okay. Okay.
he hasn't left yet. He's leaving, but he's going on his own. He has a side business.
Okay.
This wasn't a dollar.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, Clayton Hotchkiss, Mr. Hotchkiss is filling in today for Mr. Joyce.
Good evening.
Mhm.
2 weeks ago, we did complete the training for the access control system. Since then, we've gone down to the gorge as the executive director touched on, and we installed 2 new cameras. But it's not just the cameras, it's also for the alarm system after the event that happened. Currently, outside of working hours, if someone does enter into the process area of the gorge in the lower part, the chief operator, the executive director, as well as the supervisors on shift are notified and they can see what's down there. We've also added the feature so that they can listen to the pumps in case there's an issue from the plant without having to go down there. We do plan on extending this system to the upper part of the gorge and also doing some additional build out on the bottom. We are hoping to get the materials by the end of this week and hopefully start next week or the week after.
Is that all you have, Mr. Hotchkiss?
Yes, for new business.
All right, let me Let me ask you a question regarding the O and M report. We look at number 25, or number 24, under water treatment plant maintenance planning. You'll find it on in your packet on page 60. The camera feed and operations control room malfunctions frequently since feed was split to supply monitor in the HR office. Multiple cameras currently are non-functional. Newly installed cameras are internet or cloud-based with limited access in the control room. Operation relies on IT to ensure security of this technology from malicious actors. Tell me a little bit about that.
So it is a hybrid cloud system. So the footage is stored on the physical cameras. Now there is the cloud component is that there is a way to, from the internet, to view the footage. Now, in order to do that, you are required to log in. That does have two-factor authentication. So that's to protect it from outside. Also, the physical devices are all behind a hardware, and we do have, we deny any access from certain countries as well as, other malicious groups.
So this report was generated by Rob Rowe, Chief Operator. It also goes on to further talk about a little bit about the vulnerabilities because of the camera system that we have in place. Now, you're saying there are vulnerabilities, correct?
Correct. And actually, in a way, these new cameras are better than the old ones from a security standpoint, because even if someone physically plugs into our network, everything is encrypted. Where on the old ones, if you plugged into that network, there would be ways for you to view or get that footage.
But this, Mr. Rowe brings it up several. I know that most recently we had, who was the security outfit that was in here? Cisco?
CISA.
CISA, all right. One of the very first things that was brought up to them was that we had vulnerabilities,
Mhm.
which in fact are not true.
Correct. And I do know when they reviewed it, they did give it the thumbs up.
All right, without objection from the board, I'm going to ask Mr. Costello to draft a letter to Rob Rowe with your assistance or IT's assistance, talking about the actuality of the situation, whether or not there are vulnerabilities within our system or not. This seems to keep coming up and coming up and coming up. And in fact, there are no vulnerabilities.
Understood.
Thank you. Mr. Makowitz, for finance, please.
Good evening. The only other thing I wanted to report, we just have a large amount of capital payments this month, close to a little over $2 million. It's going to be for April. Other than that, I really have nothing to add.
Okay, Mr. Makowitz, I had given some questions to the acting executive director. I think he relayed them to you today. I would like you to respond to those questions to the full board in writing,
Okay.
okay? This way we won't take up any of the board's time. Mr. Eagler, when I reviewed the O and M report on Friday, there are 26 highlighted areas from the chief operator here at the water treatment plant.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so instead of us going over each one of these, please put it in writing to the board on each one of these. Because I don't think the board wants to sit here and talk about number 26 at the doorbell's not working. Okay, which is in this report on page 61. But you can answer it in writing to the board, all 26 of these.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Because you have the answers now, right?
Most of them, yeah.
Right, so just give it to us in writing and you won't waste anybody's time.
Okay.
Okay, make sense?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Ricardo? Safety?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. As you have in front of you, completed an inventory of our fleet as it is right now. This report does not include the trailers or the mowers, but it does include the entire, fleet of vehicles that we have. In general, I would tell you that the fleet is in good shape. I was really surprised how good a shape it is. A couple of scratches and dings, but you'd have to point, they were pointed out to me. You couldn't see them, without being pointed out. The interior, I know, Mr. Chairman, you had some questions about the interior. The outside maintenance trucks did have mud in them, but they're working trucks. So, but I would say that generally the condition inside and outside is pretty good. The average mileage is 26,000 miles on the fleet, and the average years is 3, age-wise of the fleet. So, I thought it was pretty good.
It's interesting. You can go back to 2017, the average age of the fleet was almost 13 years.
Mhm.
Okay. We didn't have the mileage back then. We didn't keep track of it. But I think it's important that the board is aware of it because it's because of their efforts. And supporting, new equipment for our staff
Mhm.
is the reason why these numbers look as good as they do.
Right.
All right.
Right.
Wouldn't happen anyway. There were trucks and here you would almost think they belonged to the Flintstones. Because the floorboards were rotted right out and their feet almost went through the floorboards. That's how bad, poorly conditioned some of our vehicles were. And it's really just a credit to both the staff and clearly the board that appropriates the funds and the resources. So,
It's also the fleet management program, enterprise that does a good job. And when we lease these vehicles, we have equity in the vehicles, and when we turn them in, we're putting that money towards a new vehicle. So it knocks down the cost of anything that we get new. I'm impressed with the fleet.
John, are all these vehicles leased?
I don't know which ones are leased. We own some of them,
Okay.
but I would say most of them are
Like
leased.
a 2015 Escape and a 2016 Fusion
Yeah, I can't tell you.
being older.
Being older, we probably own.
Did Mr. Eagler address that? You know which one you're on?
Yeah.
I'd like to just.
All right, so there's a Ford Escape, which I believe is a 2015. I don't have my glasses with me. I apologize.
It is.
The Ford. Oh, look at, okay. The 129, which is a 2015, is ours. The Ford Fusion, which is, it's in here, it is a 2017, car 144 is ours. And then, obviously the Chevy Tahoe, 2021 is ours.
The vehicle number 112, the 21 Silverado that has the diamond, is that the one that was kicked?
This, no, the one that was kicked was it's been repaired and that was a, Escape. The one that has a dent, I called the foreman of that department and he believes it is the way the truck is designed. I'm gonna go down there tomorrow and look at it. He says they jut out and if you look at it from an angle, it may look like a dent. I'll verify that tomorrow as to what exactly it is on that truck, but that truck is fairly new.
So John, how did you differentiate between, something's fair or needs? cleaning?
Just basically, just judgment, how compared to other trucks that were dirtier and trucks that were, fairly clean. It's just a subjective look at it.
We were hoping correct. And we're mostly
Uh,
good.
Well, I wouldn't say there was a truck that was excellent. You know, they're working vehicles. So that's,
That kind of, like, where's that from?
yeah,
How did you make it determine that it's something you would bring?
depending on the amount of mud and the amount of general debris
Gotcha.
that was in the vehicle.
Is the 2021 Tahoe with 92,000 miles the one that belongs is being driven by the current acting?
Yes, yeah.
That's listed as being in excellent cleanliness. Did he tell you to say that, Tom?
He did,
Okay. For the record,
for the record, right?
that's a lot of miles.
Yeah, it is.
I wonder how they all got out of there.
Took a few trips out of town.
Yeah, towing a boat. right?
You would have been busy.
Somebody's towing a
Travel.
boat. Yeah. Didn't
Any other
somebody
questions
tow
for
a boat?
Mr. Ricardo?
No, it's good enough. Thank you.
Mr. Costello, please.
Nothing this evening, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Let's go over to resolutions.
Mr. Chairman, the first resolution in the packet is found at page 76, 2024-04-001, procurement of manhole frames and lids.
Move it.
I'll second.
Moved by Board Member Ashbar, seconded by Board Member Larkin on the question.
I have a question. Probably need from the team. So this order, is this typical when we order 50?
For the manholes,
Yeah.
yes, they usually gets us through the year. That's really a little bit of a lower number. We usually do about 75 to 100.
Do we
Well-
keep an active inventory?
Yes, we do.
So it's just to kind of supplement, keep our inventory level?
It's usually
Or
around,
just active replacements, or we just have them on hand in case?
it's usually around this time of year. Maybe we usually do it a little earlier in February, that this should get us through the year. So depending on what we have coming up, we only got 50 this year because with the lead replacement program, along with the LaSalle abatement work that we're going to do in-house, we deemed that we may not get as many manholes this year as we have in the past. It's typical to the fire hydrants that we order every February. We get to a certain number we like to maintain. At this point, it's 50, the hydrants are 100. So that number balances us to where we need to be.
So it's not, it's not necessarily a need base, it's just
It's a supply base.
get what we can, what we have budgeted and.
Yeah,
have-
because the
have it
problem,
on.
I'm sorry, the problem with the manholes is they take time to get. So let's say a
Yeah.
manhole got damaged, we'd like to have them on hand so we can repair it immediately.
How did, what's the determination used for when a manhole frame covers should be replaced?
It all depends on the condition. A lot of times in the springtime, we come across where plows have hit the frame itself, but no longer the lid will stay in it.
Yeah.
So when people drive over it, either pop off, come dislodge, or make a loud noise that we get complaints on. The scary thing about manholes is once they're exposed,
Yeah,
not so much car tires, they could be fixed, but it's about the kids in the neighborhood.
yeah. Do we have any, issues with theft?
Theft, only in the Love Canal area, which has been better recently. Love Canal goes in spurts, and the abandoned part of Love Canal, which would be from 95th to 102nd, and Colvin to Frontier. That's our big theft area.
Got it. Thank you.
Keep in mind this resolution didn't even have to be in front of the board. It's less than our procurement policy, which is $20,000. This is just a filler for the board meeting.
That's good for transparency.
Yeah. Call the roll, please.
Board Member Asklar,
Yeah.
Board Member Kimball,
Yes.
Board Member Larkin,
Yes.
Board Member Leffler.
Yeah.
Chairman Forster,
Yes.
motion passes. Mr. Chairman, the next resolution is number 2024-04-002, extension of AECom agreement for on-site environmental monitor services at page 79 of the packet.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Board Member Larkin, seconded by Board Member Ashkar on the question.
I have a question. I'm not familiar, like, this is something that's an ongoing thing, the on-site environmental monitor. Given the history, this order of consent. I'm not familiar, like, there's no way for us to have our own, like, on the payroll on-site environmental monitor. What's the need or the conditions for that?
It's a requirement of the consent order. I think it has to be somebody that's independent
Okay.
of the water board,
That's all I needed.
and they approved.
All right. That defines it for me. Thank you, Sean.
Call the roll, please.
Board Member Asklar,
Yeah.
Board Member Kimball,
Yes.
Board Member Larkin,
Yes.
Board Member Leffler,
Yes.
Chairman Forster.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Number three, I was informed, just prior to the beginning of the meeting that, there may be another substitution, do this in-house. So I'll ask the board if they will table this resolution.
Table.
Second the table.
Move the table by Board Member Ashkar, seconded by Board Member Larkin on the question. Vote on the table, please.
Board Member Asklar,
Yes, to table.
Board Member Kimball,
Yes to table.
Board Member Larkin,
Yes to table.
Board Member Leffler,
Yes.
Chairman Forster.
Yes.
Motion to table passes. Mr. Chairman, this month's final resolution is in the packet at page 91. 2024-04-004, exercising option for EFPR Group CPAs to perform 2024 audit.
Move it. I'll
Move-
second.
Moved by Board Member Kimball, seconded by Board Member Larkin on the question.
John, was this, the amount they proposed or when we first contracted with them?
Yes, the RFP had them propose for 3 years. And their fees are at page 94 of the packet. First year was 24,000. That's been completed. Second year, 25, third year, 26. I'll note that Bonadio in their final year was 26,500 for the 2022 audit.
Okay. Thank you.
Call the roll, please.
Board Member Asklar?
Yeah.
Board Member Kimball?
Yes.
Board Member Larkin?
Yes.
Board Member Leffler?
Yeah.
Chairman Forster?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Any board member have any unfinished or old business,
No.
new business or additional items to discuss? We'll move to adjourn, please.
Move it. Move to adjourn.
Moved by Board Member Larkin, seconded by Board Member Ashkar on the question. None being heard, call the roll, please.
Board Member Asklar?
Yes, to adjourn.
Board Member Kimball?
Yes to adjourn.
Board Member Larkin?
Yes to adjourn.
Board Member Leffler?
Yeah.
Chairman Forster?
Yes.
The time is 5:38. Motion passes.
Thank you, everybody.
Oh, remember.
Sean, I'm allowed to possess this copy.